What is happening? Welcome everybody to another episode of Wednesday Night Live. If you're new, like, share, and follow, guys. We'd love to see those hearts and share the episode. It would be much appreciated, guys. Also, before we get into the show, I got some news that I want to get out there. We are looking for a new host to join us on the Wednesday Night Live team. And if you're interested, you're going to have to email there. A couple qualifications, guys. Number one, you got to be passionate about advocacy. So we don't want fair weather advocacy fans. Number two, some decent lighting, some decent equipment. We're not looking for someone to broadcast the show through their cell phone. So PC, laptop. You guys okay with the tablets? Are pretty good.
Here you go, John. I'll simplify it for you. You need to have a reasonably decent mic like we're using right now. Yeah, I mean, like what's the one that's real popular, John? The one that Tom has.
Oh, they got a Yeti,
the Blue Rhino, or some crap
like that.
The
Blue Yeti.
Blue Yeti. You need to have a decent broadcasting mic, and you have to have higher quality video. Yeah, no cell phones.
Yeah, we're looking for the show is broadcast in 720, so we don't do 1080, but eventually we will be doing 1080. So it'll be a good thing if you have a decent webcam, for instance, or a camera DSL. I think me and Paul are cameras, right? Paul, are you a camera too? Oh no, you're webcam.
Webcam.
Webcam. Yeah, so somewhere quiet. It's very important. No kids screaming, dogs barking, stuff like that. But we need someone that's very passionate about this, and it's been. We also want someone that's been in the industry for quite some time. So we'd like to have somebody that's been around building, has some knowledge on some of the products that are out there as well. So. That's what we're looking for. So if you are interested and you can meet those qualifications, please email us at Wednesday Night Live at Wednesday Nights Show at Gmail, and just put in the
it's right there in the banner, John. Night Live Show at gmail.com.
Let me mute Tim so I can finish. I was saying in the subject, put what do you guys want to put in there so we can see them? Just put a host. Put a host in there so we'll know that's what it's about. But if you're interested, let us know. Email us, and if you meet those qualifications, and we will do a test video to make sure everything lines up, and then we'll get you hooked up on the show. Yeah, Tom's going to be like on and off. So, but I like to have 4 squares filled on the screen. I don't like this upside down pyramid thingy. So if you're interested and you want to join the show, email us at Wednesday Night Live Show at gmail.com. In the subject, put host, and then I'll get something written up for qualifications so I can set out there for people to see on Twitter and elsewhere. All right, let's start the show with Tim. Tim, how are you doing?
I just have one thing.
One thing?
Well, I'm fine. First of all, I'm fine. But, I never complain about too much, but the one thing that I think I've just realized is my largest pet peeve, and what makes me feel like the biggest idiot in the whole entire world, is when you get out of the shower and you're like trying to get ready, and then you go to put a shirt on or something like that, and you checked and double checked like 2-3 times where the friggin' tag is on the inside of your shirt, just so you know that when you go to put it on, it's not backwards. And sure as shit, you put the shirt on backwards, and you get that high collar feel, like right up on the top of your friggin' throat. It's the most frustrating thing in the whole entire world ever. I don't know. It happened to me tonight, and I guess it's just fresh in my mind right now, and it just bothered the living crap out of me. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any cure for anything like that. I've come to learn it's my big pet peeve right now.
It's old age, Timmy. It's old age.
I know it seems unimportant to the rest of you, but God damn it, it's important to me.
Hashtag save Tim. Oh, everything else good this week for you, Tim, so far?
Yeah. It's just been it's a lot of work going on. Been a busy week, so yeah. I'm just I'm running on empty. Here we go. Yeah, little Jackson Brown.
Don't start. Tim, since you're speaking, say hello to everybody.
I will. I was actually going through the list. He was up there. What's up, Phil? What's up, Willie Woodson? Willie Woodson's a new name. I haven't recognized that. What's up, Tho? Bill Tarling, Megan in the house, Jeff Danny Boy. I recognize Jeff there. We got Morgan. I got to keep going up a little bit. I'm sure there's some people that I missed. No, actually, Morgan and Thobin. Oh, Daniel, what's up, brother? How you been, man? Is that everybody? And I'm not talking. I already know how. And Luke's up at the top there. I didn't see Luke.
Did you say hello to Jeff, Danny boy?
I did say yes. I did. Jeff. I hope Jeff heard me. And Mallory, what's up, Mallory? How you doing? I think
Mallory.
That's it for now. Yeah.
Yeah, Mallory, if you're interested in being a co-host, you have all that stuff, email us. We know you have the DIY experience and you've been in the industry for a long time. So, and let's say hello to Paul, who's getting rained out over there in Australia. What is going on? Climate change. Blame Al Gore.
Okay, well, sure. Let's put it out there. Let's just blame Al Gore straight out of the box. I'm okay with that. That's not a problem. But no, like big hugs going out to all the people up on the north coast here of New South Wales and up into Queensland that have been flooded out.
It's that bad, huh?
There's lives that have been lost, livestock lost, complete neighborhoods completely wiped out. And yeah, people actually in one region up there actually having to climb up into their roof cavity and crack a hole in their roof so they can get out of the property. That's how bad it is.
What are we talking about here? Are we talking like I said monsoon earlier? Are we talking something like that, or are we talking like I don't know what the other names are for when water comes flush and raining down on.
Well, there's El Nino and El Nina, and I actually think that we're in something like that. But we've had the highest rainfall now. I think we've had 1.7 meters in less than a month and a half so far.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So this just weather patterns?
Oh, it's hardcore.
Yeah.
It is. Like, right now in Sydney, I've got friends a little bit further out from me. They're completely underwater. Their stables are underwater. They're moving horses to higher ground. Up north, further north of me, like 2 to 3 hours north, they've had to move all their livestock. I know people that are cattle farmers up that way that their lower paddocks are all completely wiped out now.
Wow.
It's not pretty. Not pretty at all.
I see it now in the news. I'm reading it right now. Yeah.
It is hardcore.
I think the thing that jumps out at me is that it's like Australia can't cut a break here. It's like, what was it? Last year we had the fires in Australia, and now you get the exact opposite.
Well, Western Australia, they've still got fires going on. They're on the other side. They've still got fires happening. Touch wood that we'll probably get another late summer here in New South Wales. This will dry out and turn into a tinderbox again. But it's just crazy as hell, man. Crazy as hell. It's not fun. There's photos now, quad bikes. There's photos of quad bikes actually hanging off the power lines here.
Good God.
Yeah, serious. Yeah, that's not that there. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. But that's whole neighborhoods just wiped out.
Wow.
And it's still rising in areas where the rain's coming down. The rain stops here for like 10 minutes and then it starts again and stops again and starts again. But we haven't even hit here in Sydney. We haven't actually hit the main core of the cell storm yet. So It's going to get crazy here.
It's nice. It's nice to see that there's a lot of volunteers helping out. I'm looking at all the pictures. That's pretty good.
Well, I do have to bring up one thing on that. Our illustrious Prime Minister, just as this was unfolding, magically got COVID, right? Yeah. Magically got COVID, so he's in hiding again for 7 days. So,
perfect. Yeah, you can see it's knee high on these guys. right there.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, they've had to go and go in and rescue people, and it's getting hardcore. But
Don't you guys have reservoirs that's designed for overflow like that? Like we have here, and we get a lot of flooding here where I live, but there's reservoirs like empty holes during the summertime that are just
not really, because we're just one big flat island.
Yeah. No, these guys dig these holes. They dig these big giant trenches just for that situation.
Yeah,
to divert water to.
Well, okay. Here, if you go and dig dams or catchment areas, as they call them, okay, and if you have one on your property, you then have to pay a water tax. Okay? It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. Yeah, they want to go on. Thanks, guys. Yeah, you're right, Nick. It's called the ocean.
Called the ocean. Well, you can divert the water back to the fucking ocean, guys.
Well,
they're called canals. Canals.
Yeah. Oh, though, by 100%. You know, the clouds are going to get blamed for this.
I want to make sure I heard what you said right. You're not allowed to catch water, right? You're not allowed to catch rain and store it. Is that what you said?
Are. No, okay. You are. But if you have a water tank here on your property, say 20,000 liters, you have to pay them a water tax because and if you have a dam on a property, you have to pay a water tax.
All right, man.
And the dams are overflowing now because of this, and our river system is completely screwed up. So, yeah,
that's nuts, man. That's nuts. I know there's a couple states. Well, Washington, you're not allowed to divert water into. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm thinking I get it. I understand, but it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, this is Sydney at the moment. I put it in our private chat. You can show that photo. That's one street in Sydney. It's you guys haven't seen anything yet.
Do you guys need any vape supply? Do we need to drop a shipment of vape supply into Australia?
We'll get to that a little bit later in the show because there's a whole lot of back end that's going on right now. So in the last couple of weeks, we've had shark attacks, we've had all kinds of stuff. Here, so it's been all kinds of fun and games. But yeah, that's what Sydney's looking like now. It's starting to turn on us and really come back at us.
It's turning into California. We've had our shark attacks in the last couple months here too.
Yeah, it's oh god, Bill, no, knock it off with this Foster's crap. I used to cop this all the time. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I hope you get some relief and the rain stops over there and gives you guys an opportunity to get things back in order. It's scary, those flood. I've seen them firsthand here, and it happens so fast. It happens so fast, and you don't think to have those sandbags, But I remember one year where my dad's like, you know what, just out of the blue, he's like, you know what, let's do like 20, 25 sandbags, and we're like looking at my dad like, for what? No shit. Not a week later, man. We are trying to save the garage, everything in the garage. Like, put the sandbags out there. And it just, I don't think people realize how fast it happens, how quickly that water can rise up and start moving. And then it's game on.
Well, less than 24 hours. And, okay. This is as the rains were starting here in Australia. I want you to show the people this, right?
Okay, you send it to me yet?
Yeah, I'm sending it now. This is just as the rains were starting here in Australia, right? And this is just before our illustrious Prime Minister got COVID. What a wanker. That photo says it all.
Ours went golfing.
Huh?
Nothing. I said our guy went golfing.
Right. Well, but you got to show that photo because
Yes. Did you send it in private chat? I don't
Yeah.
see it.
No, it's in the Facebook
Oh,
chat.
Messenger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait until you see this photo. This is our illustrious Prime Minister, right? In a photo opportunity.
Oh
Okay?
yeah, I love these. I love these
Fuck.
photo ops.
Fuck. Seriously? Wait until the crowd sees this.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Cannot make, yeah, stunt mode, as now we call it. There with a sandbag in a full suit and a big old camera opportunity. Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah,
Really?
yeah,
And then magically he gets COVID and he's disappeared now.
yeah.
If
Oh,
that
that's
doesn't
hilarious.
piss people off, I don't know what will.
Yeah. The Prime Minister's doing it. Get out there, fill those sandbags up. No, hey, that's politicians though. That's they got to get their photo ops, and they do that all over the world. They see an opportunity to boost their.
Seriously? Come on, man.
At least he didn't have a Foster in one hand.
Oh, here we go.
All right, let's get into the show. We're going to talk about some debunking of some vape myths, and we're going to go ahead and start with Timmy.
Well, actually, can we do a little impromptu show and tell?
Oh, you got something? Yeah.
So
Are you set up? Are you set up?
I haven't had a chance to use it quite yet, but I'm excited that I got it finally. But I don't know, and I hopefully by next show I'll have a little bit more of an in-depth review. Now, keep in mind this is a combo kit, so there is a mod and a tank involved here, but I didn't really give two shits about the tank. I really wanted to put my own RTA on top of it, but I don't know if anybody can see that. This is the new Valerian 3 kit from UL.
Hold on, Tim. I'm going to change it up here so you can. Right there. You go.
Well, here you go. So here it is. It's the Valerian 3 kit. It's kind of got that Game of Thrones dragon kind of thing going on here. I'll show you guys in the box so you guys can at least see what it looks like. But I'm really excited to give it a shot. I can't give any general information about it. It's a dual 18650 mod. I don't know if anybody can see that. There you go. It's a dual 18650 mod. It's kind of got this dragon scale action going on. Oh, now look, there I went. Now I went blurry for some reason. Come on, boys. Let's get unblurry. I don't know how to get unblurry.
Put the thing back in front of it. There you go. You got it.
All right.
It found you.
So it's kind of got like a leather kind of grip on the side. It looks kind of like dragon skin, I guess you could say. It's kind of scales. It's got like a multicolored, nice display screen on there. On the back, it's got kind of a plated dragon scale thing coming out, showing up, and then it has like a light on the back, so it lights up when you fire it. And then it does come with the UL Valerian 3 sub-ohm tank, but I'm just not in the market for sub-ohm tanks anymore. I'm kind of tired of having to be reliant on having to replace pre-made coils all the time. So I'm excited for that. I hope I have more information to offer people by next show, but I just wanted to show that real quick. So it's a new kit that's out by Crown. So it's a mod. What's it supposed to do? Fire your tank. That's what it does. So.
It's using those Crown coils, which are pretty good coils. So you might enjoy those coils. But
yeah, I'm gonna give them a spin. They put 2 inside the box, so I'll see how those go. And if all goes well, I'll have a raving review for those. But I probably won't buy another pack of them. Just saying.
Yeah, just say it. Yeah.
All right. So tonight we thought that we'd talk about lousy vaping science, right? So we're on Facebook all the time, Twitter. We get people confronting us all the time. The people that read Facebook news and information or scientific studies, and then they claim that that vaping is so bad, it's so bad, it's so bad. So I had this one thing that was sent to me, and it's a master list of junk science. So I thought we'd talk about those and get opinions on these particular issues. Some of these we've discussed before, so you are going to hear some things that have been talked about before. But we spend a lot of time just getting a bunch of bunk and junk science and pseudoscience thrown our way. So I don't know if you want to quantify this as a top 10 list, but we'll just go through the list. So these are things that you could be confronted with that are not true. It's bullshit science. Okay, number one. Could vaping cause erectile dysfunction? Don't panic just yet. Here, let's bring it. Let me share.
Mine's like this. It's just real slow. It just goes slow. And then it goes,
whoa. So, but I think we've asked this question before. I think we kind of did our own survey on the show about that. And I don't think there was one person in the chat that said that they had issues. So would we still have a unanimous vote there?
Yeah, I don't want to use the term rock hard. Is that okay to say? Yeah, rock hard.
Well, it was the name of a Kiss track.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And it's also a Bullet Boys song, Hard as a Rock.
So there we go.
Yeah, so real quick, let's read it. Vaping doubled the risk. This is the study. This was the claim. Vaping doubled the risk of erectile dysfunction in men 20 and older, CNN reported last December. What? There you go. What they left out was all the data gathered for the study was self-reported. Men were classified as having ED based on a one-item question. Many men experience problems with sexual intercourse. How would you describe your ability to get and keep an erection adequate for satisfactory intercourse? Oh my goodness. Suffice to say, this was far short of a reliable medical diagnosis. The researchers also relied on study participants to report how much they vaped or smoked. Strangely, the study did not find a link between daily smoking and ED. It's not clear why only vaping would carry this risk, since cigarettes often contain more nicotine than liquids consumed by vapors. Yeah. So there's your debunking of the science. I'll be happy
also, let me add to that, because this question has come up on another show that I do, and there was a poll done, and I forget, I think it was over 70,000 women were asked this question: how long should sex last? And most of them said between 4 to 5 minutes. So hopefully you can keep it going for 4 to 5 minutes.
What does vaping have to do with that, though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm trying to make the link. So you said it comes up on the show, so people said that that they weren't getting 4 to 5 minutes because their partner vaped. Is that what you're saying?
No, they're just saying. I'm saying all you need is a good 4 to 5 minutes. So that's what.
Wow.
All right. All right. Back to the list. Vaping and stroke risk. New study hypes the wrong conclusion. Oh, God, more on this. Experiencing ED is probably unpleasant, but suffering a stroke is, I assume, a truly frightening experience. So when the American Heart Association announced that researchers had linked vaping to stroke risk, the media went berserk, reporting that e-cigarette users have a 15% higher risk of stroke at a younger age than traditional tobacco smokers, according to preliminary findings. Everybody remember this?
Yep.
Okay. It said the abstract will no longer be presented as Scientific Sessions 2021. Unfortunately, the researchers were not able to complete their presentation. As it turns out, preliminary was the wrong word to use.
Yeah.
The study was never published through the author, though the authors were scheduled to present their results at the AHA's annual conference. They never did, and it could be because the results were less impressive upon closer inspection. Bye-bye. While vapors suffered strokes earlier in life, smokers actually had a substantially higher risk, 6.75% compared to 1.09% for e-cigarette users. So again, debunked science. So you know what? These are actually really good responses to a lot of the BS that typically family members or older people or your friends might find out there, and then they confront you about it, and then they see you vaping, and then they lob these bombs at you like, oh, I read where you have a much higher percentage of getting having a heart condition or something like that. This is really good to quickly show them this and say, no, all that was highly debunked. So, I mean, if we have anything in our arsenal at this point, it's the idea that we can fight back with information about the stuff, the things that they hear, and present them with real information, or at least information that kind of levels the playing field. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. I didn't hear about this one. This one's new to me. Did anybody hear about this one? Does vaping cause bone damage? Yes and no. A confusing study claims. Had you heard that, John?
No, no, that's a new one to me. How's it
Paul?
even?
What's that?
Does vaping cause bone damage? Did you hear any articles or studies about this?
Nah, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, well, I have, but that goes to the chemistry and the breakdown of the liquid over time. But it's impossible. That's absolutely impossible.
So the same month,
unless you're injecting yourself with pure nicotine, that might fuck with your bones a little bit. But
has anybody in the chat heard about this one? Has anyone been confronted about bone damage?
no,
And we don't mean that bone.
no. Bill said that they've been recycling this one now for about 3 years. No, I tend to agree, Bill.
So the same month, November 2021, MSN reported the evidence against vaping is mounting, and a new study now links e-cigarettes with an increased risk for broken bones. What?
Yeah.
What? This was a misleading summary at best. The researchers actually found that current vapors had a lower prevalence of fractures than former vapors. If vaping causes bone damage, why would quitting e-cigarettes be linked to more bone damage? I never heard about this one.
Yeah, that's a new one to me. Unless they're smoking something or vaping something that's not a e-liquid and they're high and they fall and hurt themselves. I mean,
well, you're not going to hurt yourself if you're high and you fall over because you're in a relaxed state.
Yeah, you're in a relaxed state. You still could break an arm. That's the problem with these. I mean, is it vaping e-liquid or are they talking about vaping marijuana or whatever?
I'm going to go with just that this is more aimed at standard vaping than the THC thing, because the THC thing really only gets lumped in when they start talking about vaping causing the lung damage. I mean, the getting put on a ventilator and all that crap.
Yeah.
Anywho, but if you hear about that, it's bullshit, right? All right. Vaping and mental health. Does nicotine use cause teen depression?
Wow.
Because what do we hear about now? What's all over Twitter almost every day?
Oh, yeah.
Depression stick, right? That's all you see is commercials about depression stick, about how it's a direct correlation to depression. All right, and this is all, and we talked about this too in the news before. It was about Truth Initiative and the American Heart Association and their campaign. Yeah, I forget the name of it now. They had a name for it where they paid millions of dollars to have some marketing company come in and run a campaign against vaping, basically. This example comes courtesy of the Truth Initiative. 2 health crises among youth. A mental health crisis and a vaping epidemic pose increasing threats to a generation of young people. The tobacco industry-funded activist group wrote in a September 2021 report, while it is well known that nicotine harms developing brains, lesser known are the worrying connections between nicotine and mental health. Truth Initiative acknowledged that it is unknown whether a causal relationship between nicotine and mental health conditions exists. But much more can be said than that. It's actually quite likely that a link between nicotine consumption and depression exists. However, it probably runs in the opposite direction. People diagnosed with depression smoke to alleviate their symptoms because nicotine has a well-documented antidepressant effect.
So they say.
Well, in cigarettes, yes. There are antidepressants in tobacco products. That's 100% true. But in vaping products, no. Yeah, orthodontists. That's it. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I had heard sort of the stories about how vaping was a source of causing younger people to typically experience depression because of it. But Vaping for what, 9 years here? I've never gotten depressed over my vaping unless I like ran out of my favorite flavor or something like that. Then maybe I was a little depressed.
Just a little.
But I think we all, as human beings, experience stressful situations in our lives and encounter depression. And I think a lot of times things like this become kind of a vice or an escape from that, right? Like smoking, like, man, life sucks right now. I need a cigarette. Well, the cigarette didn't make you depressed. The cigarette kind of gave you a little bit of a rush, just like anybody would drink or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So a whole bunch of that going on. All right. The smoking relapse myth. Everybody knows about that one, right?
Yeah.
Because many studies have documented the smoking cessation benefits of vaping, tobacco control researchers have simply changed how they measure success in studies of e-cigarettes. Smokers who switch from smoking to vaping are counted as having relapsed if they have so much as 1 or 2 puffs of a cigarette. We've examined 2 recent studies with this design. The problem here is that many smokers quit gradually, initially replacing some of their cigarette consumption with vaping, many of them ultimately giving up smoking entirely. Does anybody here feel like they've ever relapsed? Have you, like, even early on, do you feel like you finally saw the light and you started and you were like, man, I'm on the way now, I'm vaping now, and then all of a sudden you found yourself back to smoking cigarettes? For any
Not yet. I haven't. I may in the earlier, maybe like 1 or 2 years in, but now the only thing that really bothers me, I can be in a room with someone smoking and all that other stuff. I can't be next to an ashtray. It's the smell that's coming off an ashtray bothers me more than anything else. And not that I want the cigarette, but that's the only thing that makes me gag. Now you could sit right next to me and smoke a cigarette. I have no desire to have one. But if there's an ashtray by me, ugh, God.
Oh, but if there's a really good cigar in the air,
that's different, Paul.
Sorry, but yeah, that screwed me up a couple of years ago. Yeah.
But I think Jake brings up an important point. I mean, and I'm sorry to hear about that, Jake. I hope that you getting the right help for all that. But he says he's had depression since his teens, and I think that's probably the one thing that rings true mostly is that depression usually stems from something else, not the thing that is picked up to try to maybe help curb that. I think depression comes from a different place and not necessarily the source, unless you have some chemical dependency that causes you to reflect on that. But yeah, I think like you, John, early on, I feel like there were times when, of course, you typically start out and it's dual use, right? So you're flip-flopping between one or the other. I think my relapse was arbitrary on the stance that there were places that I was traveling to at the time for work. I couldn't bring my vape stuff with me. Otherwise, it would be confiscated, or it would end up being could potentially be taken. So I didn't want to take that risk of trying to bring vape stuff into a country where I knew it was banned. So I would literally have to go to cigarettes if I wanted to go, like Dubai. I had to take cigarettes into Dubai. Singapore was another place. They vaping. There were people in Singapore. I saw a few people vaping, but not very many of them. So I had to buy cigarettes when I went to Singapore and stuff like that. So I don't know if I call that a relapse. For me, it was extremely temporary. I only smoked cigarettes the time I was there, and then the moment I got back to the States, I was back to vaping. But again, another debunked study that the proof behind relapse does not exist. Here's the big one. There's a teen vaping epidemic. The claim isn't based on bad research so much as it's based on no research at all. ACSH has always opposed minors using any nicotine-containing product whatsoever, but we have to be honest about what the data shows. 2 important conclusions leap out of the evidence we've gathered so far. A minority, roughly 20% of high school students have reported vaping at some point. However, the majority of these individuals are former cigarette smokers, according to the authors of a 2021 study. This result is consistent with other recent research showing that declines in cigarette use have accelerated after the introduction of electronic cigarettes.
There's also one other part to that section there that they never put in, or they've not released as yet. Children or teenagers that are actually on ADHD medication are also more likely to smoke or to vape. And then the ADHD medication actually lowers, believe it or not. The nicotine actually levels them out. And that's part of a study that's going on in Europe right now. And I'm waiting. That should be out very shortly. When that comes out, that will blow the doors off all of this teen vaping epidemic bullshit.
But isn't that almost like an epidemic in and of itself, right? The ADHD thing. I mean, aren't like a ton more kids being diagnosed with that?
Oh, well, I remember a couple of years ago, actually.
It was bad in the 90s. It was really bad in the 90s.
Yeah,
I don't know so much.
I can remember a couple of years ago, Bill and I were talking about this, and some of the school boards were actually being paid by the pharma companies and the doctors to put the kids onto ADHD meds so they could get payments, or as they call it, donations for their school district. And I thought, that is absolutely disgusting. How are they getting away with it?
Yeah, that's terrible.
But this goes back to the whole premise, right? It's like we talk about it all the time, where I think especially maybe, and this is, I can only really speak to America, but I'm sure probably it's like this in a lot of different places. Well, maybe not so much in places that have public health systems as opposed to private healthcare systems. But I think in America, I mean, it's obvious that big pharma plays a big role in the medications that are doled out to people for all different kinds of conditions, whether it's youth ADHD or suspected autism or whatever, all these things. And then you got adults with anxiety and everything else, and then people that show up at the doctor, they got this pain, that pain, this ailment, whatever. And so the doctors are encouraged to prescribe medications because they get kickbacks from the pharma companies to push their drugs across the table, even though the majority of us probably aren't buying the name brand stuff anyway. We're getting the generics because our health insurance programs allow us to get generics for much cheaper than the name brand stuff. But that said, my point to the whole idea is that we're trained to put these things in our system, which then people try to link to something else. But you made a really good point with that the kids with the ADHD are more likely to smoke or vape, and so it just gives them fire for the fodder.
Yeah, well, 100%. And I can remember reading about this. And I thought, how the hell is this even legal? And I thought, you get all your different taxes. Yeah, bada bing, off we go again.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we've talked this, probably beat the dead horse on the teen vaping epidemic. It's just the numbers don't really reflect that it's as widespread as it probably was. I think the one thing that I probably look for to hold out on and see what happens is when and if life goes back to some sense of normality, where the kids are full scale going back to school and not doing the homeschooling nearly as much, or distance learning, because of COVID restrictions and things of that nature are closing down the schools, and see if the vaping numbers rise again because all the kids are back together and kind of. So I mean, I'm not seeing it yet, and I can tell you here in Georgia, the kids are back to school.
Yeah.
Frequently. I mean, I see them. They're outside my house every morning before I leave for work. The bus comes by and everything picks them up. But I'm just not hearing where the numbers are going back up. I keep hearing that the numbers keep falling. But they'll ride that horse to the stable. All right. Secondhanded. Oh, sorry, I put too many consonants in there. Secondhand vaping risks. A January 2022 study suggested that e-cigarette users may harm the respiratory health of those around them via secondhand vaping. The conclusion may have been plausible were it not for this odd detail. Most of the study participants who reported symptoms caused by secondhand vape exposure were also likely to have personal use of tobacco or cannabis products or secondhand exposure to combustible products, the study authors explained. The obvious question is, how do they know it was passive vaping that caused the symptoms when a majority of these individuals were exposed to tobacco and marijuana during the study?
Dun dun dun.
Well, but you hear more about it now too, right? I mean, now they're passing laws that are preventing people from vaping in their apartments. I mean, we've kind of always been restricted from smoking in apartments and close dwellings, but now they're banning vaping at a much higher rate, claiming that for studies just like this. But it's not. It hasn't been proven that secondhand vapor is a direct cause for people to have medical issues due to that. So, but again, vaping has proved very popular among ex-smokers, myself included. As a result, it's smart for public health researchers to investigate the risks and benefit of e-cigarettes. Whatever danger vaping poses should be honestly reported to the public. That said, poorly designed epidemiological studies that make unreasonable assumptions or ask the wrong questions only muddle the discussion, leaving consumers misinformed about vaping. Hopefully, we'll see less of this low-caliber research in the future. If not, this list will continue to grow, and it continues to grow.
Dun dun dun.
Any thoughts on any of that stuff?
It's all bullshit, but...
Well, it was actually the CDC that went into vape shops in California and were doing air testing studies, and bada bing, they found out it's, what was it, 0.03% and 0.01% of the nicotine that's actually in the liquid in the air. And we're talking, what, 5 years ago, when we were in the cloudy session of everything. And like people are there dripping and causing mischief. Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
No, it'll never. That will never fly. Yeah. And I'm going to bring a science type friend.
I smell blueberries in your apartment. I'm going to call the super.
Well, that's a really interesting part because where I live, I'm renting at the moment, and I had the agent come over for an inspection the other day, and he said, "Oh, but you're not meant to be vaping in here." And I said, "Excuse me? I've been vaping here since I moved in. That's a couple of years ago now." I just laughed at them. I said, "Really?" I said, "That's my job. That's my life. Thanks for coming. If you want me to pay."
I like Paul. Thanks for coming. Were you closing the door on his ass when you said that? I would have been. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Oh, he didn't last long. He didn't last long here. Like, and then as soon as he walks out the door, he lights up a cigarette.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, right. And then I went out and I tapped him on the shoulder, and I got some pods sent to me through one of the distributors. I said, "Right. Stop smoking, start vaping. Here's a handful of blueberry pods." And it was blueberry, but not muffins. Now I want a blueberry muffin. Fuck you. Son of a bitch, it's lunchtime here.
Oh, that's right, huh?
And I handed him 5 pods. 3 days later, he calls me and he said, "You know something? I haven't had a cigarette since."
Oh, nice. Nice. Now you can vape all you want in your apartment.
He said, "Now I know why you do what you do."
Yeah.
He said, "I've been smoking for over 20 years and I've tried everything." Yeah. He said it was that tap on the shoulder. And I went, "Right, thank you." And he thanked me. He said, I've gone from $300+ a week in cigarettes, and he said, I'm only on my second little pod. This rocks. And now I can give my wife a kiss. Before she wouldn't come near me. Right. There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Well,
Gotta
I thought
turn 'em
we'd
one at a
go.
time.
Yeah, I thought we'd go over to their site and see what they say because we did ours. So I thought it would be kind of funny to go through there and kind of debunk what they got written on their own website. So,
Okay.
does it need to be bigger, guys? Is everybody can?
I can
know
read it.
Yeah, you can read it, right?
Rub it and it'll make it bigger.
Stop vaping; it'll get bigger, right? And harder and longer. It's hard for youth to get vape products. Oh, okay. Did I miss one?
No, go back up to the top. You scrolled down for some reason. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah, I see it now. Mid-flavored vapings are just as harmful as water vapor and may not contain nicotine. 99% of vape products sold in the U.S. Convenience stores contain nicotine, including many of the teens' top choices like flavored and disposable products. Plus the chemicals used to create vape. I got to go real close here. Vaping flavors can damage the lungs, heart, and immune systems. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Whether or not nicotine is present among the most toxic and toxics and the chemicals used to create some chocolate and banana flavors.
So the myth is flavored vapes are just harmless water. Well, this is an old myth, right?
Yeah.
This is something that I don't think average vapors even say anyway. I mean, it maybe early on it was talked about in that regard. Yeah. It's like, oh, people would be like, oh, isn't that bad for you? And you'd be like, no, it's just water vapor. But and it's an aerosol, and it is water soluble. Yeah. But I don't think we really talk about it. Even vapors don't talk about it in the sense that it's harmless water vapor. But I do hear people still kind of they old data. They go, yeah, isn't it just water vapor? They'll say stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They've got
this is on tobacco. Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah,
sorry.
They've got this partly right. Chocolate. Some of the chocolate flavorings used, yes, they're DAP heavy or diacetyl acetyl propanol. Yes, that is true. But now, this must have come out 3 or 4 years ago, because now all the flavoring manufacturers, for the most part, are now using different forms of chemistry and different forms of compounds to get rid of those products. So we don't have a problem with that. Okay?
Yeah.
But banana, no. That was never on the hit list ever.
Yeah.
Banana, I think they meant to say butter, not banana.
Butter?
Yeah. But don't you hear that in reports too, where the kids are like, "Oh, I didn't know it had nicotine in it." It says right on the package. This
it's all over.
Nicotine.
I mean, they made sure.
They made sure.
They made sure.
Porterhouse steaks.
It's bigger than the label. It's bigger than the label most of the times on some bottles.
Yeah. That's for later in the show too.
It's hard. This is on the Tobacco Free website. Tobacco Free. Is it Tobacco Free California? No. Is that theirs?
Tobacco Free. Yeah, co.org. Yeah.
Co. Yeah, co. It's hard for youth to get vaping products. Despite sales laws, youth can still buy vape products from peers, friends, and relatives, and age restrictions at retail stores are not always enforced. In 2009, half of Colorado youth were vaped said they borrowed their products from someone else. 2/3 of Colorado youth said they paid an adult to purchase products for them, to get it for someone who is of illegal age. Now, how do you guys? I mean, I'm not going to pretend like we didn't all do this. We all did this at one time or another. Paid some guy to get us some alcohol at a store.
Yeah, beer. Yeah.
Yeah, but this whole thing, the one thing that's most glaring in all of this is that they attacked the online angle of being able to buy vape products, claiming that that was an easy channel for kids to get vapor products. But they don't even mention that in any of the statement. They talk about ground level sales. Youth can still buy vape products from peers. Well, that's probably where they're going to get it most of the time anyway. Friends and relatives and age restrictions at retail stores are not always enforced. Right? Well, I mean, some kids are going to be able to buy shit. I mean, it just happens. You have to go after that source. I mean, if this is what they're going to talk about, it completely contradicts the online myth. But at the same time, they're going to punish us and take it away from us because it's such a quote unquote threat to the kids because it's so easily accessible. Well, no, you have to go after the source, right? So if retail stores are selling to kids, then you fine the shit out of them so they stop doing it, or you take their license away so they can't sell those products.
Right. I mean, here in California, you get one shot at it. You get that fine. If you get caught buying for a minor, you're going to get a fine. And I think the first fine, if I'm not mistaken, it's a little over $1,000.
Yeah.
And then the second time you get caught doing it, they're taking your driver's license away from you. I mean, that's got to be something that deters someone from. I mean, I'm not going to lose my driver's license so you can get drunk tonight. I mean, they do need to enforce that. And like Tim says, I mean, the shops are responsible as well. These convenience stores, to them, I kind of know a little bit about retail, and I know that guy is not making that much money off of selling that kid a pod system. He's making pennies, and most of the time at convenience stores, they're going to make their money off gas and some other shit. But to me, I can't see why a convenience store person would take that risk and that chance to sell something that he's only going to make pennies off of. For what? It makes absolutely no sense. And unless you punish them to the point where they just, hey, one strike, you're done. You know what? If you are that worried about youth smoking and drinking, a one and done deal. You get caught, you lose your license for a year. Boom. And then you see how long your store stays open.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jonathan, I agree with you wholeheartedly on this one. I do think that this was them trying to close a particular loophole because studies do show that kids were obtaining things from people who were typically in their family or close to them that were of age that could go in and buy the stuff and just basically hand it over to them.
Yeah.
So I do agree that this was a way to try to shut some of that down by raising the age to 21, making it potentially a little bit harder for the kids to get stuff. But what are the possibilities of someone having someone that's 18 years of age or older around them and someone who's 21? There's a lot of younger kids that have brothers and sisters who are old enough to do that. And then Jonathan brought up another point right behind that, though. Aren't parents allowed to buy for their children? Well, I think it's all one and the same. I mean, if you're a parent and you're allowing your kid to do that underneath your roof, I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily allowed. I don't, it applied like drinking.
You're still contributing to a minor.
Correct, right? So like you hear the stories about the parents who are like, oh, well, I just had like my kid and all their friends come over, and then the parent ran out and got alcohol for everybody, and then something bad went horribly wrong at the party, or some kid got alcohol poisoning, and then the parent gets in a world of shit trouble because they're contributing to a minor. So I don't know that it's allowed that parents can buy for their children, whether or not they agree or allow them to do that.
Yeah, I think you're still. I mean, if you're 18, maybe you could get away with it, and hey, I mean, you're not in high school anymore, so to be honest with you, but I mean, I guess if you're 18 and your parents are buying it for you, I mean, what can you do? What can you really do? I mean, you're considered an adult everywhere in the world. Well, in our country, I think you're still 18 is still an adult everywhere else, I'm assuming.
Well, who was the kid that we were all over? There was a couple years ago. Yeah. There was a red Jewel kid on Instagram. Remember him? Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat probably remember this kid.
Right. Yeah, there was
this kid. He looked like he was about 13 years old, and all he did was post Instagram videos of himself, like doing that kind of silly vape trick where, like, you take a puff and then you kind of let it out of your mouth and whatever they call that, where it goes back up your nose and all. He would do that constantly. That's all his videos were. Yeah. Turned out his mom was in the health industry or something like that. She was gone all day, working like all these long hours as a single mom, raising this kid, and that she was actually buying them for him and allowing him, to do it. But everybody was going after him because he was, we were like, you're the reason we're losing vaping and all this other stuff. He lived in Colorado. I remember that. Yeah. And then he was like, and then everybody jumped all over him. He's like, okay, I'll take all the vaping videos down. Because he wasn't 18 yet, right? He wasn't old enough to vape in the first place. And so he was like, I'll take all my vaping videos down. And then he started posting them again, going like, oh, you can see I'm getting ready to turn 18. And he was showing his I guess his walker's French ID or French inhale. And he was showing his his birthday, like he was getting ready to turn 18. And then boom, they switched the age to 21. And I was like, that's karma, you little fuck.
Yeah, fucker.
Little fuck. Just rubbing it in our face.
Flavored tobacco is now banned. Some federal limits around flavored tobacco passed in 2020, but there is no statewide restrictions on sales of flavored tobacco. Variants of flavored products, vape products, remain on the market and accessible to youth. In fact, vapors still have a hold on most youth who vape. 4 out of 5 youth who vape use flavored products. More regulations are needed to curb sales to youth and prevent long-term addiction. Oh man.
But well, what was banned? I thought it was pod system flavors that were
right. Well, there's just Juul taking mango off and a couple of their other flavors, but I don't remember anybody. And there's some cities that have flavor bans. I guess maybe that's who they're talking about.
But I hear it all the time when I go to report on the news. They do talk about this federal ban on flavored vapes, but in pod systems. I thought that was the crux of it. Am I wrong on that one?
No, it was all flavors except for tobacco in pods. Yes, correct.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
But every single cigarette and cigar, for that matter, is all flavored to some point. I'm sorry, game over. And I really don't understand why the US went from 18 to 21 on vape products for 2 reasons. A, you can join the military at 18, you get a rifle, and you can go and kill someone, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yet, you've got the same with drinking laws. Yet, pretty much everywhere in the world, it's 18 from memory. There might be a few places that are 21 now, but lifting it, and what happens to those people that started smoking at 16, then they move to vape at 18, and then they're cut off until they're 21 again. What, they go back to cigarettes, or they just use the black market? That's my argument. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now that is illegal age to buy tobacco has been raised to 21, and high school aged youth are protected. I like how they try to switch it around here. Federal and state laws raised the minimum legal sales age for tobacco products from 18 to 21. That's a step in the right direction. However, many young people can still get products from older peers. In addition, not all retailers strictly enforce age restrictions.
Well, that's just a repeat of the previous.
Yeah, repeat.
The myth. What was the myth again? Go back up.
The myth
Now that the legal age to buy tobacco has been raised to 21, middle and high school aged youth are protected. Well, right. Yeah. So, but I think that is a big myth, because the kids are already outsmarting the adults anyway, and half the shit that they get it through Snapchat and back channels anyway. So, I don't really think that they were ever. I mean, how many kids do you know get thrown in the clink now because they get caught with vaping products? They get strip searched, but they don't get strip searched. Yeah, but they don't get thrown in the clink anymore. I have a follow up to that tonight, by the way. So we're gonna talk about that one again tonight.
I don't want to be strip searched.
Oh, hang on. Well, now that we're older, that's a different story.
But now, when you're getting strip shirts, that's usually because you're ending up going in prison, and then what else do? They hose you down with a hose, and then they throw some sort of lice, whatever powder on you. Yeah, I'll pass on it.
Delicing powder
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, I'll pass on all that, Paul. Vape is less harmful than other tobacco products. Vaping and e-juice contains a combination of chemicals that cause short and long-term health impacts. Most vape products contain nicotine, which is highly addictive. Vaping is especially dangerous for use because nicotine can harm the developing brain. God damn it, I have to come in. Really create memory problems and increase depression. Other short-term problems can include wheezing, coughing, sinus infection, nosebleeds. I've never gotten a nosebleed from vaping. You guys?
No.
Shortening of breath, asthma, and young people who vape are more than four times more likely to smoke traditional cigarettes a year later. A year later, they got it down to a year. They know.
Bollocks, and more bollocks.
You start on that by February of next year, you will be smoking. That's what California Tobacco Free says. They know.
But I mean, but the gateway theory has never been proven anyway. And a lot of the kids and a lot of the kids who ended up taking up vaping were former smokers anyway. They were kids that were already smoking. So, I mean, if you're going to have the lesser of two evils, I would much rather see a kid switch to vaping. But now you're going to take it away from them because you claim that it's so much more dangerous. Where are they going to go? They're going to go back to smoking if they're going to pick anything.
If you want to download the PDF fact sheet, I'll send you the link to this page.
You should do that and have them submitted by the viewers, and let's rewrite the fact sheet for them.
You want to read? Oh, this is Tobacco Free Colorado.
I just find
it doesn't matter. It'd be great to see what is put in and all the links and everything. Everyone knows how to edit a PDF by this stage.
Oh, shit,
I think everyone should send us back input, and we'll send it to these clowns and go, ha ha. Sorry.
This is their fact sheet is one page.
What?
It's one page. It says 1 of 1. That's it.
Yeah.
Can we make this like 10 pages and send it back to them, people? Come on. Let's fuck shit up.
I just find it extremely humorous that it's like, how is anyone in this world supposed to believe anything when you can come from two completely unique sources that completely contradict one or the other? It's like at some point, somebody's just got to flip a coin and go with one argument or the other, right? Like, of course, as advocates, we're trying to convince, impressionable people or non-believers or people that aren't as educated about what it is that we do and why we do it and the harms to ourselves as well as to people around us. And so we always try to convince them of our side, but you always have the other side, which throws out just as much information, whether it be truth or non-truth. And that's what I guess upsets me the most, is that we usually typically come from a place of truth, whereas the other side is coming from a position of a lot of propaganda and conflation of the truth, saying things and making them more sensationalized to make people think poorly about something.
This is the Texas one.
Okay. Make it really big because it's really hard to read. I can read it if you want.
I won't be able. Yeah, you're gonna. I won't be able to read it at all now.
All right. So e-cigs and vaping devices are safer than conventional cigarettes. Fact. E-cigarettes are the fact. Right? They start out fact. Facts. E-cigarettes are unsafe for kids, teens, and young adults. Most e-cigarettes contain nicotine, which is highly addictive and can harm adolescent brain development, which continues into the early to mid-20s. Now, keep in mind, folks, I think it's a study was done that said that the human brain doesn't fully develop till 25. Vaping products have health risks and most contain nicotine, which is highly addictive. These products are also unsafe for pregnant women. Adult non-smokers should not start vaping or using any other tobacco product. Currently, the long-term effects of e-cigarette use are not known. Great facts. It's the worst thing you can ever. Yeah, that contradicts the fact right there. Currently, the long-term effects aren't known. So, how can you determine what all these short-term massive impacts are to humans, and then it's going to cause lack of development, brain development in adolescence? But you don't. You say right there. Currently, the long-term effects of e-cigarette uses are not known. There you just contradicted yourself in one fell swoop.
One sentence.
Yeah. Myth. The only toxic chemical in vape juice is nicotine. Vape juice contains 31 chemicals or more. Paul? some chemicals, such as formaldehyde, become toxic when heated. Nicotine is also highly addictive and can affect the developing brain. 31 chemicals or more, Paul.
In a vape liquid?
Yep. That's what they're saying. Fact. Vape juice contains 31 chemicals or more. Is that a fact, Paul?
There are more than 31 chemicals in a vape liquid, yes.
Okay.
But formaldehyde, the only way to get formaldehyde from a liquid is to A, overheat it,
right.
B, vape on said coil for more than 10 seconds, and again, overheating said coil.
Right.
C, using shitty concentrates that are sugar-based.
Yeah.
Game over.
There you have it.
Yeah, Mallory's got it right. It depends on the flavoring as well.
Yeah.
And I'll agree with you there. I'll agree with you there. But also too, you have to comment on the whole idea that, we sit there and people want to question whether or not we think vaping is totally safe. I don't think any vapor anymore nowadays says that vaping is 100% healthy. We just know that it's 95% safer than smoking cigarettes. That's the statement right there. It's not that we say that it's completely safe.
Actually, now it's 97.8 if you remove the nicotine.
Okay.
Wow.
And some people will vape zero nic.
Yeah.
All right, myth. It's just flavoring. Fact.
Yeah, you got to say fact. There, okay.
Fact.
I got to read the fact voice on.
I got to read the myth, and then I have to state the fact. E-cigarettes or vaping products get their flavoring from chemicals. While some of these chemical flavors are safe to eat, they are not safe when inhaled into the lungs. Paul, would you care to comment on that? Since you're a flavoring guy.
In part they're right, in part they're wrong. Every single flavor that we use has a flash point. Mm-hmm. Again, it goes back to overheating said product to that flash point.
Right.
If you overheat something, yes, it will change chemically. Simple.
Well, isn't that where a lot of the bunk science comes from anyway? Yeah. They sit there and they take like a vaping device and then they push it to a limit far beyond what a normal or average vapor would use it at. So, if it's only supposed to be vaped at 10 watts, they fire it at 150 and then they go, oh, look, there's formaldehyde in this thing.
Yeah, correct.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not true in the sense, they leave out what they did to get the formaldehyde to show up.
Tim, ban Luke.
What did Luke do?
He said he's made a chemical.
Luke is actually what? Isn't Luke 98% water? I think we're all like 98% water or something like that. Yeah. So I mean, we just shrivel up like prunes if we dry out. So I don't know. I think we're all built on chemicals at this point in our lives, Luke. So I'm with you. I'm in your camp, buddy. I think I got enough chemicals that are run through my system at this point. Yeah. I'm sure there's some residual effects there.
I've taken many chemicals over the years. We won't go there.
Yeah, exactly. I think we all put shit in our body we shouldn't have. Myth. Formaldehyde is not harmful when used in a vaping device. Fact. Formaldehyde becomes toxic when heated by a vape device. It is not safe when inhaled. Well, ain't nobody trying to vape formaldehyde, fool.
I ain't no formaldehyde.
I ain't trying to get my mouth on some formaldehyde. The only time I want to talk about formaldehyde is when it's a frog came out of it in science class, and I got to friggin' dissect it on a table.
All right, here's my beef with formaldehyde. I can go 2 blocks from my house. There's a fucking cow pasture there, and then the worst of all, there's a guy that sells chicken manure. So I have to smell chicken manure every time the wind blows in my direction. So should I go after this guy, Paul, for all the formaldehyde that's blowing in my direction from the chicken poop that they scrape off the bottom of their cages? So I have to smell that.
No.
Why not?
Formaldehyde's actually produced by combustion, believe it or not. Wow.
I mean, I got to smell that chicken shit all day, man. When they start scraping it, it's disgusting, man. I don't know if you ever smelled chicken manure. It's
Thank
pretty
you,
bad.
Bill.
I've been in dairy areas and farmland.
That's what we need.
It's not pretty.
Demonic echo effects.
Right.
I used to work in stables, man.
Yeah, he's
the
right.
That I used to smell. Fuck yeah.
All right, I'll try to do it on the next one, Bill. I don't have a reverb pedal next to me, but we'll try to create our own. Myth: there are vapes that don't contain nicotine. Fact. A study found that 99% of vaping devices contain nicotine. Duh. Different e-cigarette brands contain different amounts of nicotine. Some vapes even contain the same amount of nicotine as 20 regular cigarettes. Well, that's true. But that's an argument that we have all the time, right? I dare I say, as an advocate of vaping, do I want to see any type of tobacco harm reduction method removed from public access? Because someone who's a 2 to 3 pack a day smoker is going to require more nicotine to give them that relative impact to try to get them off of smoking, right? So if the average cigarette is 24 milligrams a stick or whatever it supposedly is, they're going to need that or probably more to begin with in order to give them a relevant experience so that they can more easily transition away. But the idea is that you don't continue to use the 50 milligram Juul pod all day, every day, the entire freaking time, right? So yeah, we know about Nic salts, we know about the high nicotine content, but I don't think the average vapor really uses 50 milligram all day long. I mean, I don't. Yeah. Certainly not me. I'm like 3 and 6, and then I do have pods, but whatever. E-cigarettes and vaping devices produce water vapor. Fact. E-cigarettes do not produce harmless water vapor. The Surgeon General, which one? The Surgeon General reports that e-cigarettes produce an aerosol that can contain harmful chemicals, including, here we go again, heavy metals, volatile organic compounds, and ultrafine particles that can remain in the lungs. Yeah, well, that's because he read the science about the scientists that took a 5-watt device and fired it at 200 watts, and now the coil starts to break down, the metals start to break down. So at any rate, but there's that one. So a lot of these are just regurgitated stuff over and over and over again. Vaping helped me quit smoking cigarettes. Fact. The Food and Drug Administration has not approved any e-cigarette or vaping product to help quit tobacco products. Look, and here they're trying to sell shit right now. For free and confidential information about quitting, visit yesquit.org or call the Texas Tobacco Quit line at 1-877-YES-QUIT.
Just quit.
Just quit.
If you call that number, you can get a free bottle of Jack Daniels and a handgun.
Really?
Something. Yeah, well, you know what? It's a shame that the FDA hasn't approved any. Well, they have. They've kind of sort of approved one device during the PMTA process, which nobody's going to buy or use anyway.
What was the phone number again? Let's get them on the air.
I think it was 1877. Yes, quit.
Let's call them up. That feature is coming to the show, guys. I'm working on it with Google with a Google phone number.
There you
So
go.
you guys will be able to, those that want to call in will be able to call in to the show.
Hey, but Rog, wasn't there a guy on YouTube or something like that vaped friggin'
Yeah, he did.
Reapers or some dumb shit like that? He
Yeah,
put
dickhead.
What a dumbass. Like, I wouldn't even eat the effing thing, let alone try to vape it. So forget all that. So yeah, there's a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of misconstruing of the truth. There's a lot of stuff that's not studied thoroughly. I think there's some truth in some of the statements too. We really don't know the long-term effects of vaping. So
Where
I
we
mean,
at now?
Tim? No, I just want Tim to read that.
yeah, I
one
can.
about
Yeah,
vape.
you can go big, go bigger. I can read it,
Go
but
big.
go bigger. Yeah,
Okay.
you're going little. You're going littler now.
The
That's all right. There,
expensive vaping is.
right there. Okay,
Yeah,
but go back to the top.
Oh, wait.
Quit scrolling.
I just wanted you to read the one about the expensive part.
Okay,
Vaping,
there we go.
yeah.
All right. Myth number 5. Fact. Let's say you're using disposable vapes. They cost more per cartridge, but there's no battery or e-juice to buy and replenish. That they generally cost between $8 to $12 per vape. That could cost you $1,400 a year. That's enough to buy a round trip to Disneyland with some money left over for 12 days worth of meals. Now let's say that you use a rechargeable vape instead. They are quite expensive and vary in price. Some start as low as $25, while others cost all the way up to $145. And that doesn't include the liquid or the e-juice. To replenish the cartridge is anywhere from $3 to $7 per refill. What? That's maybe if what? Where are they getting this shit from?
This is why I wanted you to read this
Yeah.
one.
Someone who vapes will refill their cartridge approximately 200 times a year. That works out to be close to $600 per year or a membership to the gym. In the end, vaping drains your wallet. If you don't smoke and if you start vaping, then you won't be saving any money. Well, can I comment on this one?
Yeah, that's why I wanted you to read that one.
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, if you're talking about the thing at the top and they're referencing disposable vapes,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to agree that if you're a disposable vape addict and that's your angle and that's what you like to buy all the time, because I'd be willing to bet somebody who's a regular vapor that goes in and all they do is buy disposables all the time, I guarantee you in the end you probably are spending more money than if you were smoking. Probably to some degree or equal to. Just because aren't disposable vapes kind of pricey? Aren't they like between $14 and $18 a
This
pop
is the
now?
This is the new hot one, which is running here in Modesto about $21.
Okay.
And that's
What?
last year? Yeah, this one I've gotten 4 days. 4 days out of it, and the battery went dead.
And what does this pack of cigarettes cost in California?
Pack here is $11.50 a pack.
And what and you've gotten 4 days on that. But what are they? But okay, but John, you're not a typical. I'm not saying you're a bad example. I'm trying to say is you've got 10 other devices around you that you can switch off to.
No, this was 4 days straight. I did 4 days of nothing but this one, and it died. The battery went out. There's actually still juice in it, but the battery did not last longer than the juice that's in there.
All right, so my question is to Daniel then, because he works in a shop, so he sees this all day long. So you're saying they're $20 to $30 a piece. How many does the average person buy when they walk into the shop? One at a time, or do they buy 2, 3, or 4?
Yeah,
I want to hear what he says because they probably buy a couple at a time. They probably don't just buy one because that means they got to keep coming back to the vape shop every other day to get another one. And you're saying you got 4 days on that? So I mean, maybe not. I think it's relative to where you live because like here, a pack of cigarettes is not $10 a pack. Right. It's like just under $6. So I have to look at what people can spend here to smoke as well. But I don't think disposable, like people who just strictly go with disposables are in the long term probably going to save as much money as, say, someone in the second bracket there, where I still don't understand the $3 to $7 per refill. Can someone explain that one to me?
Are they talking about the cartridges?
Well, they
And
said
we-
refill though.
Oh,
3 to
You're
7.
trying to
That's
put
almost like
cartridge.
saying I bought a bottle of juice,
yeah.
Oh,
and every time I
Yeah.
fill it up, it's $3 to $7.
they're obviously talking about dual pods then. Things
Yeah.
like that, like a reusable device, but not a refillable device as such.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's that one's well because they say that the price of that device that they're using goes anywhere from 25 to 150. So
Yeah.
I think this is also too
Wow.
probably a lack of knowledge, right? Because they're equating this to saying, let's just say for the sake of argument, it's somebody who's using a sub-ohm tank, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So their costs automatically are going to go up anyway, just because they're having to buy replaceable coils all the time,
Right.
and they're lucky to get what? And if they use that's the only device they have, some may
3
be
to
lucky to
4
get
days.
3 to 5 days out of it, right?
Yeah.
So every 15 days, or every what is it? 5 coils in a pack, $15 a pack, so it's $3 a coil. So $15 every couple weeks. So I mean, maybe that's what they're because I think someone who's using an RTA is going to save a lot more money. And
Right.
anyway, our problem with why it costs us more money than smoking is because we collect the shit out of stuff.
Yeah.
No comment.
This is coming from Ottawa.
Canadian
man,
source.
Man, now I want to get that trip to Disneyland. Damn it! Yeah, I want to go to Disneyland.
Yeah, but a lot of people.
can't vape in Disneyland.
Oh well. Too
You want
bad.
to read the other one?
Yeah, let's read them.
All right.
Myth 6: everyone is vaping.
Everyone.
Fact: 23% of Ottawa high school students in grades 9 to 12 have used a vape at least once. What that means they're a permanent vapor, right?
Yeah.
That's 77% short of everyone. Okay, cool. I mean, that a little bit more perspective there. The vape industry is trying to make vaping look cool. They use the same tobacco company playbook, like flashy, bright, colorful packaging, or by promoting celebrity endorsements or profiling vape tricks on social media. The vape industry doesn't care about your health. They care about your cash. The reality is that a majority of young people in Ottawa aren't vaping. Don't be a copycat. Be unique. Be true to yourself and make your own way. So only 23%, and the majority of that are people that tried it once. And they still make that person a permanent vapor.
Yep. That sounds like they got their math from us.
No, here's your water vapor argument again.
Yeah.
Vaping is just harmless water vapor. Fact.
Fact.
Vapes contain at least 10 chemicals, Paul. Now we're down to 10.
Oh, we're dropping. We're dropping.
Came down from 30 plus down to just 10. Things are looking good for us vapors there, Paul. Linked to harms like cancer, birth defects, and reproductive issues. So out of the 31, 10 are linked to those particular ramifications. The vape industry isn't required to list ingredients for consumers. They rather focus on flashy flavors, not the deadly chemicals. E-juice on its own can prove life-threatening if swallowed, resulting in, get this, folks, nausea, vomiting, shakiness, seizures, difficulty breathing. Don't drink e-liquid.
Don't drink it.
It's simple. Like, that's vaping 101. Don't drink your e-liquid. What's up, Modern Vapor?
Yeah.
The exact number of chemicals found in vapes isn't known. We do know that there are a wide range of chemicals in vapes. I don't want to go to that section, so screw that part. These chemicals can be blah, blah, blah. You scroll too fast. You went too fast.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that one up because when I read it, I started laughing about the Disneyland part. So I said, Tim's got to read that one out because everybody's been told that. Remember being told that when you were smoking? If you quit smoking, or they'll ask you how many packs of cigarettes you smoke a day, and then they'll start doing the math, and then all of a sudden they'll say, if you stop smoking today, how much money you'd have in your bank account, or you could take that exotic trip. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, but I think I want to say the whole idea around vaping being cheaper than smoking, I think it's all
No. No.
Who
See
the
you
hell's
later.
that?
No, bye
I got him.
bye.
I got him.
later.
I got him.
Yeah,
I
don't
got him.
share that crap.
See you later.
I just clicking on the next one. That's why it came up.
Right.
Yeah.
Stu, I'll answer that question for you very quickly. If you would like to be sitting on the shitter for the rest of the day, go for it. Not a problem.
I'm not. It's not popping up on mine.
I got him.
Here, you got him. I got.
Yeah, I
Cause
got
I can get rid of them.
I got rid of him.
All right, cool. All right,
He
sorry
be
about that,
gone.
folks.
Yeah, we
We
get
got
them
the
once in a while.
got the bots. We got attached to the. But no, well, I did back to the whole more expensive thing though, right? I think it's all relative to what it is that you're doing. I think in the long term, if you know with the way prices are going up and things are getting more expensive and they're throwing more and more taxes on top of stuff, I think ultimately in the end, yes, smoking will probably be the most expensive for two reasons: one, out of your pocket, and to your life. But to the whole idea about vaping being cheaper, I think that conversation is like what John was saying, is like, remember a long time ago. Yeah, because I think when vaping first kind of hit the market, it probably was significantly cheaper because there were these low wattage, ego type batteries with a small little tank, and then you just buy your juice and you kind of go that route. And I think ultimately that was much cheaper in the long run. Nowadays, things are a little bit different. Tanks cost more, coils cost more, e-liquid costs more, the devices can be more pricey. You might have more than one. So, I mean, if you total it all up, where do you draw the line?
All right, I'm back. I had to remove his comments too, so they should be gone on the. I don't know.
It's been a while. What if it was zero? Yeah, well, Stu,
Yeah,
I
zero.
mean,
I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't recommend drinking it anyway. But sure, I'm sure less nicotine in your system direct is probably better for you.
No, if it's 0 milligram, it'll just make you poop
Yeah.
because it turns pretty much. They're just food flavorings, PGVG turns it into a laxative for you. That's why people that vape high milligram nicotine like pods or salts, they'll be pooping a lot as well. Simple.
But it's safer to ingest the other three chemicals, the flavorings, the PG and the VG, right? Probably safer ingested than inhaled.
Nicotine's pretty benign when you look at the chemistry. If you put a nicotine molecule against a caffeine molecule, there's not much difference in it.
No, but I meant to Stu's point.
Yeah.
He was saying if he drank 0 milligram Nick e-liquid, I'm saying PGVG and flavorings are probably safe to ingest.
They are 100%. 100%. Now where are we going? See, coffee.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Make this
That's
one
right.
big.
Oh, here we go.
Well, because this is
Yeah.
this
comes up.
Yeah, it comes up all the time. Nicotine is like caffeine. Fact: nicotine and caffeine are not related. Yet big tobacco has likened the two for decades through advertising and PR campaigns. They want to save face instead of facing the facts. In reality, caffeine is a stimulant that works by blocking a receptor called adenosine. I've never even heard of that. This neurotransmitter is responsible for making you feel relaxed or sleepy. Consuming caffeine increases adrenaline and blood pressure. Nicotine, as the article explains, increases the release of multiple neurotransmitters, which activates a waterfall of dopamine signals. In other words, nicotine tricks your brain into feeling good. Once the dopamine kick subsides and withdrawal sets in, users reach for another puff. But in this flipped on its head, isn't it that we say it's about as dangerous as caffeine?
Yeah, it's about as dangerous because we always bring that up all the time, and I've seen articles where they compared the two all the time, especially on Twitter.
But our body, or our brain for that matter, actually has nicotine receptors. We're all made the same way.
Right.
But through stress, trauma, anything else, people move to one side or the other. Some people will take up drinking caffeine like in copious amounts every day instead of smoking. Some people will pick up a cigarette and they'll find that their caffeine intake goes down.
Yep.
It's completely different with
Still
everyone.
Well, I have some when we get to the news section later, I have some interesting information that kind of tethers on this. So it's kind of cool that we're doing this. Yeah. Myth: it's easy to quit vaping. Fact: it's not.
Oh,
Nicotine, the addictive chemical found in vapes and other tobacco products, is highly addictive. Many vapes contain more nicotine than an entire pack of cigarettes. For teen vape users, this spells trouble. Read this article, we're not going there, to see how nicotine exposure at a young age permanently alters the brain, paving the way for a lifetime of addiction. Oh, God, this crap. Many young vape users are ready to ditch the devices altogether. In fact, 60% of vape users between 15 and 24 reported wanting to quit within a year. there is, yes. That leads to a lot of silent but deadlies, Jonathan. There is a hope for those ready to quit. Teens in Oklahoma can get free help with the My Life, My Quit. To start, simply text "Start My Quit" to 360. Start My Quit to 36072. Good Lord.
I'm texting that
Wait,
one.
what was that thing? What did Luke say? Vaping allows you to reduce your nic levels to be able to cut where cigarettes don't have that up.
Oh, we can text them.
Well, that's right, Luke, because I mean, isn't the ultimate idea around vaping? That's not to say that some of us choose to continue to vape for years after we've started vaping, but that's the whole idea, right? You start out with a higher milligram nic level and then you work your way down, effectively making it a cessation tool, and then you quit everything altogether eventually at the end.
Yeah.
But he's right. You can regulate the amount of nicotine that you intake. Where cigarettes, you get one shot. You can't change it.
And everybody knows at least a few people that have gone through the whole process and have just given up vaping after 2 or 3 years. I know a couple people, and I've talked to one just recently, and he says he has no issues. He's fine. He has a mod just in case still set up to go with zero nic in it. And, if he needs to get just to see that sensation, but I know quite a few people that have just, did the process 18, worked their way down to zero, and then eventually just put it away.
Yeah. But that's a whole different type of willpower too, right? Yeah. I mean, because that has to be a goal. Like you have to set that for yourself and go, I want to quit these cigarettes. I'm going to use vaping to get off of them. And then eventually I'm going to go ahead and just shut it off from my life. I think if you set your mind on going that route, like when I started vaping, I never said my goal is to eventually quit vaping.
Right.
But I've certainly come down in my nic levels.
Yeah.
Mm.
This one. Vaping is safe. Fact. It's not. It's
just
not.
Stop there. Just stop there.
Yet the word vape conjures a certain lightness when contrasted with smoke. Yeah. Marketers of vape companies were aiming for this exact perception. Here's the truth. Nicotine addiction, especially in youth, is very dangerous. Why? Because underage nicotine use is linked with addiction behaviors later in life and permanently alters the brain. What are some long-term effects of vaping?
Here we go.
Here we go. In 2019 and 2020, thousands of vape users were hospitalized with e-valley, e-cigarette, or vaping product used to associated lung injury. Do they tell you what it was related to? No, of course not. They don't tell you what it was. Yeah, there you go. Let's scare everybody.
That X-ray, is actually emphysema. That's what my lungs used to look like when I was first diagnosed.
Is it the blackness that we're looking at that's bad?
No, the cloudiness.
It's where the sternum is, and the little pockets either side of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's emphysema.
Okay.
Right, but even the E-Valley cases, they didn't look like this. They were all washed out.
They were all washed out.
It was like the whole entire both lungs were completely washed out because they were choked out by the oil.
Yeah, correct.
Which had nothing to do with
No.
Right, exactly.
One lipoid pneumonia, that's an emphysema shot.
Yeah. Hey, they had to buy a stock photo, Paul. That was the one they had. That was probably the cheapest stock photo they could get.
Here's the water vapor again.
Yeah, but that's photoshopped onto that tablet as well. Well, there you go.
Right. Well, I mean, we don't need to go into this one again. They all just say the same shit. Yeah. Flavors are harmless fun. Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah. So the hero on Thousand Nights. Wait, they say recently quit smoking about 1 to 2 years ago. Smoked for more than a decade since I was 12, and vaping helped me quit. Excellent, Thousand Nights. Way to go. Where's the clapping hands, John? Do we get the clapping hands?
I got it. Yeah.
Way to go, Thousand Nights. Way to go. And you're not.
Snoop Dogg.
And Thousand Nights, you're not anecdotal. That is a true story, right?
Yeah.
You are someone who has a story to tell, and that, I think that's great. You're just another one of the success stories. Much like everybody else who's here, we might be speaking in a bit of a bubble, but you have a great story to tell, and I think that's awesome. Congratulations for quitting. That's right. Check emails. Well, we're going to talk about CASA tonight, too. We got something on the docket for CASA.
I'm ready. I'm just getting prepared for your news segment.
Okay.
And to make sure I use the click on the right song or bumper
The
for
right
you.
bumper. Yeah, delete the old one.
I think I did.
Okay, good.
I think I did.
No, I don't think he did somehow.
No, it's
We'll
just-
know as soon as he plays it.
Yeah, it's in there. Here we go, peoples.
All right. Major fail. That was not
wasn't
my. That's not my bumper. My bumper.
I did it on.
There you go. Okay, now while I'm starting the news, you can go back and delete that other one that you just
I
played.
know. I do.
All right. Tappity tap 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 tap
Tap.
tap
One more.
tap tap. I'm not trying to have. It's not a violent tap. Okay, here I'll do like the respectable news person, you know. Yeah. All right, folks, we got some stuff to talk about tonight. We got 3 stories as we usually do. I actually was going to do that other story about the myths, the debunked myths, but we thought, you know what, let's talk about that tonight because we hear a lot about it. But I really wanted the debunked myth things there because we always talk about how we don't know how to combat the people that come at us with a lot of the false information, like vaping will make your teeth rot and all that other garbage that people like to talk about. So we just wanted those to come up. But that first article, I think, was important because it kind of takes a lot of the BS stories and tells the truth about them. And that's really what we're here to do, right? We might not be able to stop some of this governmental mechanism that rolls and tries to shut us down, but we certainly can try to change opinion outside of that scope and then hopefully turn the tide in other ways. So that said, we're going to talk about some other stuff. All right, so never say on my news segment that we don't follow up on particular articles. Matter of fact, we had an article last week, if everyone remembers, about these poor children that were quarantined and strip searched so that the superintendent and the nurse and the cops could try to find vapes on their bodies because they were caught at lunchtime vaping and stuff. And so if anyone remembers, it happened in Wisconsin. Suring, I believe, was the county or whatever it was. And at that time, and this was in February, now mind you, the incident happened long before that, but in February there was the kids told their parents what was going on, and then everybody flipped the lid and found out that their kids were getting strip searched. A lot of these kids, especially they focused on the girls. There were boys involved too, but the girls were the ones that were focused on because the superintendent and the nurse quarantined them. And the kids were told to basically, undress down to their skivvies. A couple of the girls weren't wearing any underwear. They were allowed to stay in their leggings. They were asked to pull their bras open, looking for vape devices. One girl actually turned in her vaping device after she got caught, and they still searched her. They wanted charges pressed, but the DA came forward and said that they were not going to press any charges against the superintendent or the nurse because what they did didn't technically fall under the law that qualified it as a true strip search. They were not completely disrobed down to their naked bodies. They had clothing still on. But wait, there's more. There's more. So let me share my screen again, and I will bring this up. Share screen. That one. Everybody will remember Miss Teeth from last week. All right, let's bring up Miss Teeth.
What a beautiful smile.
Nothing but teeth, right? So her name, and I will refresh everybody's memory. Her name is Kelly Casper. She's the superintendent of the Sewering, Wisconsin high school. I guess it's a high school that she's the superintendent at. But latest development. Now here we are in the early part of March, not even 2 weeks after the DA claiming that they would not bring any charges from the DA's perspective against the superintendent or anyone at the school. But now the superintendent has been charged in 6 cases. Has been hit with 6 charges. But we'll talk about what she was charged with as we go forward in the article. And I tried to refresh everybody's memory. There, Miss T. Look at that. Look at her upper lip, everybody. Like I hate to shame anybody on gosh darn it. Stop scrolling there. All right, look at that upper lip. Look at that upper lip. She got that puppy curled back so far that you'd think she doesn't even have an upper lip. Like if you're gonna give her a kiss, you're just gonna hit nothing but teeth. You're just gonna be kissing her incisors.
I thought you were telling me to stop scrolling. That's why I was like, Tim,
no, it was auto scrolling. I wasn't even touching the dang thing, and it was auto scrolling. Anyway, this is in people.com, so even People picked up on this particular publication. Story. So this one is on the the dentist table as you're waiting to go in. Yeah. Anyway, but that's Kelly Casper. Everyone will remember her teethy face from last week. But let me go over some of the details here. So previously reported, as I stated, in Sewering, Wisconsin, the DA came forward and said no one will face charges after Sewering High School administrators were accused of strip searching 6 female students for vaping devices. But now, after further developments, she's been charged. Further developments have come forward after 6 high school age students argued that Kelly Casper touched various parts of their bodies during the post-lunch incident. So more information. This happened at lunch. They were caught during lunch. I guess they were probably outside. A lot of kids can go outside for like recess or whatever after lunch. I don't think they were vaping in the lunchroom where everyone could see them. Angry parents are calling for her ouster after she confined 6 students to a restroom and were subjected to a strip search. And now, again, this incident occurred way back in January of this year, so a couple months ago to begin with. Detectives were called to investigate in February after a parent of one of the students called the police. Okay, here's apparently what happened. 6 students were summoned to the nurse's office after their lunch break and sent to an adjoining bathroom where they were instructed to remove the majority of their clothing. As you'll remember, again, a couple of the girls claimed they weren't wearing any underwear and they were allowed to remain in their leggings, but they were asked to strip down to at least just the minimum of their bra up top. After the search, vape devices were found on at least a couple of the students. Some of the girls alleged that Casper touched them on various parts of their bodies, and one girl alleged that she was touched on her buttocks. And if we go back to last week, you remember that, right? They said that the reason why the DA elected not to bring charges is because of the 6 girls, 5 of them had consistent stories, and then there was this one that claimed she got touched differently than everybody else. But because that didn't align, they think that she was lying and probably sensationalizing a little bit. One mother was interviewed and said she was glad Casper was charged with 6 counts of imprisonment. Ooh. So she's not being charged for the strip search, but because of false imprisonment. So the girls were actually put in that bathroom And it states here that the complaint filed alleges that the 6 girls were not allowed to leave the nurse's bathroom once the surges started. So there's your imprisonment. They were put in this bathroom and they were made to stay once the process started. So if they said, I don't want to be here, let me out, they were told they were not allowed to leave. Now, you also have to put yourself in the mind of a younger kid. And a lot of times, kids are actually good kids, and they will respect authority. But yes, these kids were held against their will in a bathroom, effectively by a nurse and the superintendent searching for vape devices. The same parent who actually called the police and said that they were happy that the charges were being filed. The same parent stated that their whole goal was to get the SI or superintendent out of the school and away from the children. They're hoping she's at least placed on administrative leave. So this woman is pretty much in a world of trouble right now. I think if we see any follow-up at this point, she probably will be put on administrative leave, and she'll probably still get her full pay while they do a further investigation. But a special meeting, as of today, this date, the 3rd of March, a special meeting was called for Wednesday night by the school board. But the agenda was not available for anyone to understand what they were going to talk about. Right, Morgan, just administrative leave. Here's my guess. The charges, hopefully they stick. Hopefully they stick. I don't think she'll do any prison time for it. She'll probably just get fined the hell out of it with 6 counts.
She may lose her job. She may lose her job.
Well, that's what I'm saying is they're going to follow the standard process, right? So basically what's going to happen is this is my opinion. This is an opinion show, so I can't say this is factual. What I think...
Tim, say this, Tim. Say, I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so now I'm a lawyer. Then you're safe. You're good.
Okay. Well, you just said it for me. So my opinion is that the board will hold a meeting. They will put this woman on administrative leave pending further investigation and their own decision-making process. And then eventually what they'll do is they'll say, look, this is a stain on the Suring, Wisconsin school system, and we can't have this happening in our schools. And the parents are pissed off to begin already. And it's already a hot button topic about what parents can and can't do within the school system. I think very shortly after she's put on administrative leave, she'll be fired. Either that or she'll resign. They'll ask her for her resignation, and if she doesn't want to go, they're going to fire her anyway. And then hopefully they'll still pursue the criminal charge of the false imprisonment of the kids, and then let her deal with that. So to get her off of the charges, they'll probably say, well, look, if you just quit, we'll lower the charge or we'll drop the charges or something like that.
And you bring up a good point. I'm sure if they don't get their way, Morgan, there will be some civil suits against her. I'm sure that's what's going to force the school their hand and just making her go away.
Right.
Just prolong it.
Exactly.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, but it was also a very small school district as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was only like 150 kids inside the school or something like that. And it was a smaller town in general. And we talked about this last week is like why we think that was even allowed to happen in a smaller town like that. And I think probably because it is a smaller town. She probably knows everybody that lives in the town. Yeah. You know what I mean? They probably all know where she lives. She's probably a Karen that lives on their street. And they don't like her to begin with. But how does everybody feel now? Because last week we all agreed that it was wrong that they did what they did. And we were pissed off that the DA wasn't going to bring any charges. But now this woman is going to get hit with charges.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? What do you think? What do you guys think? Do you think this brings some good article or news? Being it is in People magazine. So that is a pretty well-read magazine. It's everywhere. Do you think this kind of helps our cause, or does this hinder our cause?
I don't think it does anything for our cause. The only thing that I think that it's going to bring to on a vape level is that they're going to say, well, you can clearly see the superintendent did what they had to do because vaping is so rampant in the schools, and it's a problem. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to help us from that perspective. I think if anything, it's just going to bring more light to the
epidemic.
whole idea of what goes on in the schools. Like the parent,
Yeah.
that this woman is, because again, they did not consult with the parents and say, "Hey, we've got your
Yeah.
kid down here at the office. They were caught with a vape device, and we want to try to find other vaping devices on them." And the parent goes, "Well, you're not touching my kid. I
Yeah.
don't want you touching my kid. You don't have any right to do any kind." You can bring a cop in, and the cop can say, "Hey, look, if you don't turn it over, we're going to take you down." And you scare the shit out of them. But you can't put kids in a room, tell them to strip down to their skivvies, not let them leave that room, and hold them against their will. I mean, that was just cruelty. So
I agree, Bill. And
Yeah.
the next question I've got, were they all female students?
in the article last week, Paul, and I brought it up before, there were boys and girls involved. And they said that the girls were only searched by females. So even though they had a police officer or a truancy officer at least come down to the same nurse's office, the police officer, whoever that person was, did not take part in the search of the girls. The police officer only took part in the search of the boys.
Yeah.
Well, it was a male police officer then.
Exactly.
Right.
That's my point. That's my point.
So in that case, there wasn't a female police officer present, so that's another charge. Because
why is that another charge?
No, because when you're on school property, I know that once you're on school property, I know they can't strip search you, but I've had my son get all bent out of shape because they ripped open his backpack, and I go, "Son, you're on campus. That backpack does not, it's your backpack, but they can search that backpack at any time."
Right.
So, but it was lighters. It was lighters. Stupid lighter.
But here's my other issue with that too is that if it truly was a real true to life police officer, why did they not say anything about the procedure that was taking place? They're an officer of the law. They should know what law can be conducted. And if you willingly knew that you had 6 girls in a bathroom who were told they can't go anywhere while the searches are being conducted, wouldn't you think that cop would be like, "Hey, this isn't right"?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would assume. Good point, Tim. I mean, you would assume, unless those police officers didn't know that those girls were in that bathroom. I mean, he probably is going to use that excuse anyway. But yeah, you figure for cops there, cops going to say, "Hey, whoa, wait a minute. This is going a little too far. Maybe you need to call some parents in first. Have the parents strip search their own kids. With
Rick,
maybe."
Sorry, I'm trying to answer Rick's question. Rick, I think they were under 16. I think you're talking about 9th and 10th grade old students. These are young kids, minors, obviously.
Yeah. And I mean, what's the purpose of touching them if they're already stripped down? I mean, if they're touching them while they're stripped down, that's a big fucking no, man.
Right.
I mean, why even strip down? Pat me down. Pat me down. You don't have to strip me down. Pat me down. If you think I have some vape, I mean, even that's probably a no. But
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bad about this whole thing that took place. I mean, in terms of what they did as school officials anyway. Even if they want to say the state law doesn't quantify that as a true viable strip search, the idea that the girls were actually asked to pull their bra, they had to take off their shirts down to their bras, and then they were asked to pull their bras open, I guess, to see if something would fall out.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So I'm saying the whole thing is bad, and the optics right now for that school are really bad. So this woman's going to lose her job. You can bet on that. She's going to lose her job. But it is what it is. But I just think that, I mean, it's a shame that this is where we're at in this country. It's a fucking vape device, people. Chill the fuck out. These kids, they're not killing themselves, but and I think that this is whether we say, the policing of it shouldn't come in the form of regulation, meaning keeping things out of our hands as adults, and we want the parents to do their job, you can't do it this way either. Do you know what I mean? It can't be a superintendent of a school strip searching kids.
Yeah, I
No.
wonder if she's a superintendent of just that district or a bigger district where maybe she got away with that somewhere else. I don't know how it works as far as the stretch. Maybe Morgan, I don't know if your superintendent's in charge of like many districts like ours here, in charge of like 30, 40 schools, and then they have another superintendent that are in charge. So, I'm just thinking maybe she did something at this little school where maybe she got away with it at maybe a school that has, you know, more kids or more aggressive or more in trouble. I don't know, but still, either way, it's a no. I mean,
Yeah, and Hillbilly, even more infuriating is that the parents weren't even notified.
yeah, that's
The parents didn't even get a phone call to say that the kids had been quarantined at the office anyway. So not only did the parents not know what happened, it also happened. So I mean,
she's just in charge of that one high school. Yeah, that's bad. Then she's done. She's done.
yeah, she's gone. She gone.
She gone.
She gone. She gone. All right. So anyway, there's some good news, I guess, that comes out of this in the end, because it was a little shitty last week when we heard that there was going to be no charges filed, but different charges than what the initial charges were assumed to have been, or at least proposed to have been. All right. So let's move on. Let's go on to more BS science. Everybody ready for this one? Although any women in the chat tonight, you'll be happy to know this article falls in your favor. So for women who vape, vape them, vape them while vape all you want. Okay.
Fact.
Here comes some facts, some fake facts, right? All right. So Ohio State University, they conducted a study, and they found that vaping has long-term effects on the heart for males, but not females.
Oh, you lucky bastards!
Yeah, and you girls always get all the best stuff.
You always get the breaks, huh, Tim?
You get to vape all you want with no impact, and you have way more clothing stores in the mall than we do.
Yeah, you
What's
get to
that
have
all
children.
about?
You get to have children. I mean,
Right.
God.
All right, so I'm going to get rid of that spinny thing that was going on up there because it was driving me nuts. All right. Ohio State University College of Medicine researchers study offered insights to what happens to the cardiovascular system of adolescents when they vape. So this is aimed at younger people, at adolescents. What happens to the kids when they vape?
Yeah.
Everybody get ready. Don't get bent out of shape. But they did this study on, of all things, mice. So mice are now telling our future, all right? So this study was conducted on mice. So not kids, on mice. Nice. The researchers claim that vaping had a significant and long-term cardiovascular effect on adolescent males, but not females. The results were published in a journal called Circulation, which is carried by the American Heart Association. So the researchers said that the findings heighten the concern about vaping, especially in the youth. A survey, well, I didn't know about this. Now, if anybody wants to comment on this one, Paul or John, I don't know if you had heard about this. Yeah. A survey by the CDC found that more than half of high school seniors have tried e-cigarettes, and 1/3 reported current use of the products. Has anyone heard that? Yep. Is that fact?
No, part fact.
Okay. Well, anyway, they threw that into the article, I'm sure, to help sensationalize it a little bit more. There you go. There's your transparent PNG mouse. Researchers openly admit they don't know the long-term effects of e-cigarettes because they haven't been around long enough, but this is the first study to evaluate cardiac function in adolescent mice. So these are not adult mice; these are adolescent mice.
Those are trouble.
They state the study on mice is important because they cannot enroll children in the study. So and we get that, right? You can't hand kids vape devices and then study them. But couldn't they, in fact, take these kids who claim they've been vaping for X amount of time and then do tests on the kids and say, well, we see your heart is damaged now, or something to that effect? I mean, couldn't they go that route? They don't have to make the kids vape, but they can study the kids that vape. The mice were exposed to an e-cigarette aerosol mixture of PG, VG, and nicotine starting at the human equivalent of about age 12 and lasting to age 30. Now, how do they do that? Does anybody have any idea how you administer an aerosol mixture to a mouse starting at the age of 12. So I guess the mouse is like dog years, right? So they said,
Dog
well,
year,
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna test this on a mouse that's X number of months or years old, and that's equivalent to a 12-year-old, and then we're gonna go up the scale until that mouse is equivalent to about a 30-year-old person. But again,
yeah, that's
the mixture that's administered, we don't know what the levels were. We don't know, if it was 70-30. We don't know how much nicotine was in it. It could have been 50 milligram. It could have been 24 milligram. It could have been 3. It could have been 6. We don't know. And we don't know how it was administered to the mice. Did they shove their face in a little tube and just constantly blow aerosol down their faces? Or did they let the mouse have a little puff and then take a break and then come back an hour later and then have another puff? Like, we don't know the frequency of the administration. So this is all garbage to begin with, because everyone vapes differently to begin with. Kid and or otherwise, not including the kid that was shown how to put 12 jewel sticks in a styrofoam cup and get a head rush that lasts for a week. Researchers found reduced heart function in males over time, but females remained unaffected. And here's the crux of it. Females also had substantially higher amounts of CYP2A5, and in humans, that's CYPA2A6, which is an enzyme that breaks down nicotine. So apparently, the female mice had higher enzyme levels that allowed them to break down the nicotine faster. So that's why they didn't see the longer term effects on the nicotine on the cardiovascular system. The next study, they say, see, girls get all the good stuff. We want some of that CYPA2A6. What does a guy got to do to get some of that from
Can they
y'all?
bottle it? They can bottle it and sell it to us.
Can you put it in?
Can you put it in a Tupperware bowl?
Can you put it in my Christmas stocking? Because I want to keep vaping. The next study, they say, is to find out at what point during adolescent development the cardiac dysfunction is occurring that the enzyme CYP2A6 helps protect females. So that's what they want to. That's what they want to study now. They want to see when the CYPA2A6. That's a battery somewhere in this planet.
Yeah,
That's a battery somewhere. Now, here, get this, though. The kicker. The research was part of a $5.5 million grant awarded in 2020 to researchers at Ohio State University. Bought and paid for by Bloomberg. I'll be willing to bet. I'll be willing to bet that money came straight from Bloomberg.
that didn't stir the results one bit, I'm sure.
No, Gates was in there as well because he's got his boot in the door at Ohio State. Go Buckeyes, by the way.
That's so true. That's so true. Yes. I think that's a rat, actually, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. It's a big mouse. It's a big mouse.
Big mouse. It's a big mouse.
All right. So anyway, so be prepared for that one, right? That you're going to see the stories probably all over your Facebook feed, on your Twitter accounts. Yeah. So chicks, vape them. Vape it up. No harm, no foul. We're gonna die. The boys, we're gonna die.
No, they're studying that that same chromosome falls into breast cancer research. That's why they're studying it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a way to package that enzyme in the form of a pill, so we'll kind of have, maybe we'll be able to go buy a vitamin over the counter. We can go buy some CYPA2A6. I'm never going to forget that now. All right, your advocacy for the evening. Anybody here from Iowa? Iowa, you're on the clock. Anybody from Iowa who watches the show? All right, there you go. I need you to move Mr. Mouse for me there. Thank you. All right, so we're going to be fighting a vape tax in Iowa, everybody. Formerly known as HF 98, a bill was introduced to Iowa's House Ways and Means Committee that would impose a 22% excise tax on safer nicotine products like vapor and nic pouches. They state while The tax is expected to be paid by distributors, manufacturers, and retailers at the time a product is made or brought into the state. Inevitably, those costs are always passed forward to the consumer, right? So they're going to pay the 22% tax, and then they're going to turn around and get their 22% tax payment back. So they're going to pass it on to you. It effectively amounts to a 22% wholesale cost increase to your products. So get on CASA, go to your area, which would be Iowa, and then you can fill out. I'm scrolling on the wrong page. I apologize. You can read the full bill text there. There is a letter already scribed for you. You can head on over and fill out your name and your address, your city, your state, and it will mail it off to the proper official in government to argue your point. You can add words if you'd like here, but hey, fight for your right to vape. Fight for your right to cheaper, safer alternatives, because the moment that these things become more expensive than the deadly alternative, that's when people will turn to the deadly alternative because it's cheaper. I mean, we've all seen inflation lately, so we don't need any more inflation. So anyway, anybody from Iowa, get on over there
Iowa people,
and fight to stop a 22% excise tax. And with that said, that is your news for the evening. Back to you, John, in the studio.
Oh, okay. I was doing something. I'm up to no good. Up to no good. You know that.
Got caught with his pants down, but you don't stand up. Just don't stand up.
For the cheese.
Oh no! I was trying to put a meme together real quick, but it didn't. I thought Tim was going to go longer on the news.
No.
Oh, we're done, guys. We're done.
We're at two.
Done.
We're at two. Yeah.
We're not. We're not.
We're never done.
We're never done. I'm going to bring this back up again. We are looking for a new host for the Wednesday Night Live team. Tom will not be able to join us every week, and we would like to fill in the squares there and have a square box. We don't want the upside down pyramid. There are some qualifications. Tim, what are one of the qualifications?
One of your primary qualifications is to have a nice it doesn't have to be high professional, but a semi-professional microphone that has good quality audio. It doesn't have to be XLR. You can. Mine's actually USB, but it's made by Rode. So a good quality microphone.
Paul, what else should they have?
And these two, John. Headphones.
Headphones.
At least a few smarts. Knows how to swear.
A few smarts.
And has been in the industry for a few years, or actually understands where we're coming from, because we don't just talk about the United States. We talk about Canada. We talk about the UK. We talk about all through Europe when we get to these points.
Yep.
And also knows how to take a joke and throw a joke.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good, especially with this group. Especially with and some decent. Go ahead, Paul. Okay.
And if given the opportunity, how to fuck things up if we have to go into a Twitter war with a certain government or a body.
Yep.
Yeah, and somewhere nice and quiet, guys. We don't want kids screaming and running through the video. We don't want dogs barking. We don't want you broadcasting from the bus stop by your house. And we want someone that's passionate about advocacy. So that's important too as well. And like Paul says, we would really, really like to have someone that's been involved in the industry and the community for quite some time. So if you're interested, email us at WednesdayNightLiveShow@gmail.com and just put in the subject host, and we will check it out. And I will either send you a link so we can do a test video to make sure everything works out well, and then we'll vote. Us three will vote, and we'll decide if you are is it worthy? Should I say worthy? If you are worthy.
Rogue, Foster's, fuck you.
Yeah, do not try to bribe Paul with Foster's to be part of the show. That will not work.
And also a good quality high-speed internet connection for connectivity, and a semi-decent camera, like at least like an HD webcam, like I'm using the Logitech C920.
Yeah, C920 works out good. Yeah, if you can meet those requirements, we would love to have an extra person on the show. So, like I said, email us, put in host. I will send you a link. I will test it out and see how it looks. And then me, Tim, and Paul will vote and we'll try to get somebody fill in by next week. Also, one more thing I want to put out there. We talked a little bit about this earlier with the guys here, but when February 8th, is International Women's Day, right? International Women's Day. Our show is not on that day. Our show is on Wednesday. So we are looking for some women in the industry and the community that would like to come on and share your stories of how you help the community, how vaping has helped you. Like I said, we can't do it on the day of the whatever you want to call it. I forget what they call those things. What do they call those? This is a special day for those. So if you want to join us as well, let us know in the chat or in the group. If you're interested, I have a few women that we're going to come on the show that are do some certain things in advocacy. Some belong to some companies, e-liquid companies, and some belong to some other groups that we're going to have on. So we're going to celebrate women on that day. So next Wednesday is all women. All women. So anything else, you guys? Any other news we need to throw out there before we go?
Yeah, I have. I've got a couple of things to share actually from Australia.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
This is where the fun begins, people. All right. Let's get into a little article that came up. Wrong screen. This one. Yeah, this is where the fun begins. Right.
Oh, March 8th. I'm sorry, March 8th.
This is where the fun begins, people. We've got the government in the state that I live in, New South Wales, tackling an increasing problem in e-cigarette use. Okay? Now, we scroll down to the video, and let's make it a little bit bigger so people can actually see. This is Customs meant to be looking for vaping products.
What?
Okay. Now, in the third picture in this slide, that's tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is where the fun begins. And this is how I pulled this article apart. Right? So we scroll down, and this is our education minister. She's an absolute muppet, by the way. Sarah Mitchell. She's another Karen, but on a way bigger level. She looks like a mustick, right? She dresses like a mustick. If you know what a mustick is, they're like little pink sticks of candy that you eat. Then she goes on to saying, that we've got such a big problem in youth vaping here in our school system. The Education Department documents released to Parliament earlier this year cited a percentage of a 771% increase in reports of vaping in schools. But the part that I don't understand is that anyone in a lesser school than high school is being given 5 days like sick leave or a suspension for bad behavior, right? When you get to high school, you get 10 days. Yet the kicker to this is that the original figure that she's quoted here was in that period of time, it went up from, and this is what makes me laugh, 7 people were caught with vape products or disposables. And then recently, now that they've gone back to school, has now gone up to 61. Okay? That's where the 771% comes from. It's not like every kid in high school is running around with a vape. Okay?
Right. Well, yeah, it just goes to the whole conflation of statistics to make it seem more sensationalized than it is.
But it's how the hell, 7 to 61 students have been caught after coming out of pandemic, everything like that, and we're slowly getting back to school here. And then 61 get caught across the state. And now it's gone from that to this. It's ridiculous. Okay? This woman needs to either meet with the leaders of the vaping industry and sit down with us to try and figure out a way. But going back to this picture, they're meant to be looking for vaping products.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just probably not even a school.
No, but
This is customs.
Right. But they're trying to override this whole thing by saying it's actually vaping products. It's not. They're going after illegal tobacco.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to play this video because it's absolutely silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other part that I wanted to bring up now is the TGA, or the Therapeutic Goods Administration here in Australia, has finally done some testing. And this is where it gets even funnier. Testing of nicotine vaping products. This is where it gets hilarious. So we go through all the rigmarole of the standards and TGO 110, right? This is when our prescription model came into play. Now, the laboratory is going through and stating all the other rubbish and hoo-ha, identification of nicotine, correct content of nicotine, absence of prohibited ingredients, and compliance with the labeling, right? They have not said in any way, shape, or form that all the pod systems that they tested were the ones that were confiscated or intercepted. Okay? This is where it gets very, very funny. Charlie's chalk dust. These are liquids, right? Stating that they're 0 milligram. Sure, we get to that point. Then we get down to the fun ones. We get out of that. Where the hell they got these from? 3 clear bottles labeled. Okay? Obviously, these were samples sent to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Not stated, nicotine not present, not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. Then we roll on down to where we start getting into the other type puff devices that are coming in. Then we're getting not stated as like batch numbers, no dates, nicotine present, not assessed, it complies, and then on labeling does not comply. They've gone through this, they've found 214 devices, okay, and these are all seized. I've looked them up, and I don't know anyone, right, and some of the bottles of liquid, sure, but they're going through, they're not assessing or even giving nicotine levels as such. How the hell are we meant to trust what they're put into play here as a law? It makes no sense.
Well, no, because they're always looking for the boogeyman.
Well, they've found a few boogeymen, doesn't comply, nicotine present, no nicotine level though. Okay. GST plus energy drink disposable, 800 puff, not stated, nicotine present, doesn't give you the percentage. Yeah, they're stating that they're testing for these parameters, but they're not. How do we even assess what our government's doing when they've put this into play? How?
Probably almost too difficult to. I mean, we already can't trust the government to begin with. So I mean, they're just gonna anything that they're gonna put out, they're gonna twist it in their favor and make it look like all kinds of snidely stuff's going on. So,
but everything that they've put into play, they've not given the levels of the nicotine. They said that they were testing for that earlier on.
Yeah.
They said that they were testing for the chemicals that they're banned, but they haven't given like what the pass is or doesn't comply. Passes here, passes there. No.
Right.
What are we meant to do now? Go back to the drawing board again as a liquid, like myself as a liquid manufacturer?
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
We're up against a monster.
I'm sorry to throw the show on its head, but
No.
what are we meant to do here? Shake our heads, stick our head in the sand. Do what?
And you guys, it just sucks that you guys can't argue with your government. It doesn't make any sense that you guys can't. I mean, there's not even you guys can't even threaten for them to get out of office. I mean, you guys can't even. Yeah, it's difficult. I don't know. I don't understand why isn't there this push to get England more involved with what's going on in Australia? Why isn't there like this, rally to get together with the people of Australia to get what's going on in England here and there in Australia?
They won't listen because we've got a neoliberal government in power right now.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. But we're going further backwards than going forwards.
Yeah. Or I feel like that's how it's gonna go. Like we're gonna be put into a position to have to take 50 steps backwards before we can go forwards again.
Wow.
I mean, I just feel like that's what's gonna have to happen. Like with outside of our control, as much as we fight, but stay in the fight, right?
Stay in the fight.
Anyway. Bill, that's not a good look.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to go there.
Yeah. Anything else there, Paul? Or are we good?
No.
We got out of here. That's it.
No, not at all. But you guys needed to know about this because
I'm glad you brought it up.
They're going after vaping on one side and blaming the school kids again. Like
of
7 cases, 61 cases, 700%. So what?
Well, because that's the easiest target. That's the low-hanging fruit that they can go after. They can always argue that because the kids are impacted by it, that will always be the bastion to allow them to have some footing to stand on. Because they got way too many of us around who are vaping these products that they claim are so dangerous, and none of us are impacted negatively from a health perspective. So,
but the TGA backflips and counteracts what that article has just said completely.
Yeah. A lot of misinformation.
All right, children, we're out of here. Hope everybody has a good rest of your week. We'll see everybody next Wednesday for a special show. So we'll see everybody next Wednesday.
It's all about the ladies.
It's all about the ladies. It's ladies' night. Come on, Tim. I know you know the words to that song. We won't go in there. Look at Paul.
I'm not gonna scare people, John.
Yeah. We'll see everybody next Wednesday. Same time, same channel, same place. Don't forget to like and share this video. And we'll see everybody next Wednesday.
Peace.